The following is an exclusive presentation of Jesup Broadcasting, the sports leader in Southeast Georgia.
World famous. The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
And good morning to you. You're listening to the Big Dog, WIFO FM in Jesup, 105.5 on your FM dial. Butch Hubbard here with you, along with Bob Morgan on this, it's a Tuesday morning. It is the 10th day of December. And world famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by Nips Car Wash, located on Highway 301 South here in Jesup, just past McDonald's on the left, and by Murphy Builder Supply, where the builders buy Murphy Builder Supply on Northeast Broad Street in downtown Jesup, right down from the big red caboose. Bob, you feeling any better today?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Would have been better if my computer worked this morning.
Your computer didn't work?
I had no computer in my office. Hard to get.
It's hard to do stuff when you don't have a computer in there, so it didn't work? Worked yesterday when you left and wasn't working this morning, right?
Doesn't work.
What happens during the middle of the night? Are they little gremlins that come into businesses and mess things up in the middle of the night? Happens all the time around here. Things will be working perfectly when we leave and we get back the next day or on Monday, and then suddenly, it's just amazing. There's got to be office gremlins out there that just mess things up when people are not around. Works perfect when you leave at 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock. Get back next morning about 6, boom. Leave on a Friday afternoon, come back on a Monday morning. Bob, I think you need to do an investigative reporting on that to find out if there's such thing as office gremlins. Because it sure does seem that way. Oh, boy. What happens? What happens? It's not being used. It's just sitting there resting, and suddenly, boom, you come back in next morning, Monday morning after Friday, and suddenly it's just not working. It's frustrating, isn't it? Becomes so dependent upon this technology when it's not there.
It doesn't work. You can't do anything.
Can't do nothing. Just sit there and let's say, do. Oh, well. Have to go back to the old days, huh, Bob? Remember, we didn't have computers years ago. Yeah.
Good typewriter.
Just a good typewriter, huh? Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better, other than the office gremlins getting to your computer there. Hopefully, we can get that thing working today, and it'll be back to operate normally.
Just spent yesterday watching everybody just crush Georgia. That's all it was.
Everybody's crushing Georgia?
Crush fest.
Just crushing them, huh? What are they saying, Bob? What are the critics out there, the trolls, the commentators saying about Georgia?
They're sending a thank you letter to LSU for calling off the Dogs. They could have scored 80.
They could have scored 80.
It was an ugly performance.
Ugly with a capital U.
The big question is what's wrong with Jake Fromm. It's been that way all year. His percentage on completions not very good. Missed open receivers all year long. Just doesn't look like the same Jake Fromm that he did a couple of years ago. So you got Justin Fields out there lighting up at Ohio State. Just
in running for one of the four folks for Heisman. Justin Fields is.
So it was just interesting watching all the talking heads yesterday. Just crushed Georgia's program and crush Kirby, crush Jake Fromm, crush everything. So it's just a crush fest. So
crush.
It's just
sad times up there in Athens, Georgia right now.
It's pretty bad.
Sad times.
I'd say when you got 5-star athletes and they don't win.
Yeah, 4 and 5-star athletes. You shouldn't get blown out like that. You might lose because, LSU and Alabama and all these other teams, they get good recruits. But when you've had one of the best recruiting classes for the last 4 years straight.
That's right. Our recruiting class the last 4 years has been better than LSU.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
But, I don't know. I think the quarterback for LSU is going to win the Heisman. Would you? Or do you think Ohio State? Or do you think...
no.
Who do you think?
Burrow won that when he beat Alabama. That was a foregone conclusion. He's going to walk away.
The LSU quarterback?
No doubt.
No doubt he'll win.
Probably one of the highest percentages.
Yeah.
He would not vote for Joe Burrow.
I know. He's just doing fantastic this year. Just came out of nowhere and bam!
Especially after the performance he put on Saturday.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. Yeah. So.
And they voted on all that way before the bowl games and the championship series.
Yes, they announced it this week.
They announced it this week?
The ceremony takes place Saturday in New York.
Okay. All right. But one of those 3 quarterbacks and a defensive end.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't win it. Ed Ochoa is going to get Coach of the Year. It's just a banner year for LSU.
Well, it's kind of unexpected, and so we'll see. Is this the first year for the new coach at Ohio State, or is it the second year?
First year at Ohio
First
State.
year. So he's still, he kept it going after Urban
hasn't
left.
lost a game.
Yeah. Just keep it going. Yeah. Well, they got a lot of great athletes up there. They've had great recruiting years, and so they just continued it. Where did he come from? Was he in-house, or did they bring him somebody in?
He was on the staff.
He was on the staff? Okay. All right. And, I know Justin Fields has got to be feeling good. There he was. Thought he was going to be the starting quarterback for Georgia. And then Fromm comes in, and he leaves, and boom, he's up at Ohio State. And now he's one of the 4 candidates for Heisman.
He'll be in New York.
New York City.
He's not going to win it, though.
No, he won't.
At least he has to go to New York. It's a nice trip.
Yeah, and he's in contention. He's one of the 4 best.
Had a great year. Yeah.
Someone text in. You can always text in questions and comments to us to our regular business line. It is text enabled. Text us with questions and comments at Bob. Well, let me give the number. 912-427-3711. 912-427-3711. Bob, somebody just texted in and says, Bob, I think Swift quit on us. What do you think?
I don't think he quit. I don't think he was healthy. I think he hurt his shoulder in the previous game, and, it would have been nice to know he wasn't going to be able to help us, but they said he was good to go. But he carried the ball 3 times in Saturday's championship game, so that tells me he wasn't healthy. The shoulder was still an issue. I don't think he quit. DeAndre Swift's a great player, had a great year until he got injured. But to say he quit,
just got
that's kind of hard.
Big old lineman there, and your shoulders hurt. You got to think about your health. Next year,
I was still waiting for the news that they fired the offense coordinator. That's what I'm waiting for.
That's what you're waiting on?
I need that from Santa Claus. Sam Pittman, the offensive line coach, went to Arkansas, so we lost our offensive line coach, which will be a big loss. He's a great recruiter, so at his press conference yesterday, he's the new head coach at Arkansas, which he could take some coaches with him as well. So that always happens when a coach leaves.
Left where?
And Sam Pittman, the offensive line coach at Georgia, is now the new head coach at Arkansas.
Right.
So he'll probably take several coaches with him from the Georgia staff.
Well,
so
you've been kind of down in the offensive line anyway, so you shouldn't be disappointed he's gone.
They keep telling me how great it is. I
know, but he's a great coach.
Haven't seen him perform.
Yeah. Where's all that? You got the beef up there. Where's the performance?
They may be big, but I don't see him opening up any holes.
All right. Someone texted in, Herschel Walker played with a separated shoulder. Well, there's mortals, and then there's Herschel Walker, okay?
Herschel's Superman.
That's what I'm just saying. There's mortals, and then there's Herschel Walker.
Plus
he wasn't as near as good. They ran him mainly sweeps and stuff like that when he had that separated shoulder. They didn't really run him up the middle there, but
they did. They ran him 33 times.
I know, but they ran him outside most of the time.
Buck Blue in the documentary says the most courageous performance he ever saw in his life.
Yeah.
But that was a national championship game against Notre Dame. He separated his shoulder in the first play of the game and went out there and he said, pop it back in. He carried it 33 times.
Yep. And, but like we just said, there's mortals and then there's Herschel Walker,
The kids are different these days, just like these guys quit not going to play in the bowl games. That was unheard of 4 or 5 years ago.
They're trying to save their bodies for
But I'm just saying, they're different.
I know, but there's so much money on the line these days. And, it's like one of those things. Once one person starts doing it, then another one. It's like, okay, it is acceptable. Where for a long time, people didn't even think about it because it wasn't acceptable. But it's acceptable today. So these guys are thinking, do I play in the bowl game that doesn't mean anything? We're not for the national championship running. Or do I save my body so I can get higher, hopefully, in the draft because I don't want to hurt myself in the bowl game? You can kind of understand their perspective.
Is Joe Burrow going to play in the bowl game, in championship games? He's
I would think that anybody would play in the championship
game. He's
game.
projected to be the number one pick in the draft.
For the national championship.
What if he goes out there and breaks his leg?
Then he breaks his leg. But still, it's the national championship.
What's the difference between
because it's for the national championship, Bob. It's just not some regular old bowl game out there. It's for all the marbles. It's for history.
It's still a game.
This may still be a game, but still.
Still, your teammates depend on you to go out there and help win a game.
There's a difference between those 4 going for the national championship plus regular old bowl game. Big difference.
Mark it down. In the next several years, that's what you're going to see.
You're going to see
a Heisman Trophy candidate not playing in championship games because he's going to say, I don't want to get hurt. I'm projected to go to the NFL, make millions of dollars. So thanks for coming. Y'all have fun.
Do you think he'd be able to walk around the campus the rest of the year?
I don't see how any of these other players walk around the campus.
Because it's a regular bowl game. Anybody can understand millions of dollars on the table if I'm healthy, which I am right now, or do I have a chance of getting a cheap shot or just a regular shot in the bowl game and getting hurt? I can understand their perspective. Yeah, not in national, not the top four.
I can't. Is if Joe Burrow can play in that game, then why can't he play in the Peach Bowl?
It's a whole different situation, Bob. It's just like you just said. If it had been a regular game that Herschel Walker had separated his shoulder during the season, he'd probably set out. But it was for the national championship. He went in there, he toughed it up, and he ran against Notre Dame with that separated shoulder.
Herschel was just...
Yeah, well, he's not mortal. Herschel's Herschel. You know?
Herschel's the man.
He's the man. He's the man. You can suit him up, put him out there today.
Love Herschel Walker.
I just wish that new football league had not been around back then, and that he would have stayed another year and then gone to the NFL. And I think if that had happened, he would have set all kinds of records if he had got on a running team, which was most of them back then in 1980. 81. I think that would have happened. But you had that new football league, and he gets all those millions of dollars waved in front of him and all that kind of stuff, and he left. But I just think that if he'd have stayed the senior year, no telling what he'd done, and then gone to the NFL and got on a good running team, he'd have set all kinds of NFL records. But it didn't happen. All right, let's see here. Somebody just texted in, Bob. What's disappointing is they got rid of the previous coach, which I like, for not winning the big game, and then Kirby is doing the same thing.
The difference is they're recruiting a lot better players.
Yeah, and they're winning the SEC East every single year.
Mark Richt's issue wasn't that he wasn't winning. The issue with Mark Richt, they said the last several years, he just was not recruiting top players. That the recruiting just fell off. So that's why they made the change. That to compete with the Alabamas of the world, you had to go out and recruit the 4- and 5-star athletes. And Kirby's been able to come in and do that. And to his credit, he's been able to put a blanket of pretty much around the state of Georgia. And most of the 4- or 5-star players from the state of Georgia last several years have come to Georgia. And that's what's frustrating. You got all these 4- or 5-star athletes, and you just expect better results. But like I said, to me, the issue right now is Jake Fromm, because Jake Fromm's just not playing good football. I mean, he played great his freshman year. He played great his sophomore year, but this year he did not have a good year. If you go back and watch the film, there's wide open receivers. I mean, there are people wide open Saturday. The throws just aren't there.
Any inside information on that? Has he had girlfriend problems?
Some people are saying he's got a dead arm. Some people, there's all kinds of speculation.
Is he blowing his arm out like a pitcher does?
Haven't heard anything from Jake Fromm himself. I'm just saying, watching Georgia all year long, this season, Jake Fromm's not been the Jake Fromm that you would. Some people say because there's no one's pushing him. He's kind of.
There's nobody on the bench pushing him.
Nobody on the bench pushing him for the starting position. So it's kind of just
But he's always had a great work ethic.
Yeah,
then, of course, he's getting older.
I don't think that's the case. I don't know what the issue is. I'm just saying, watching him this year, he just doesn't look like the same Jake Fromm that he did his freshman and sophomore year.
Well, I hope he got somebody on the bench. You got to put him in.
He just did. To me, that's been the issue all year with the offense. Besides the play calling, the play calling's been terrible. Like I said, the offense coordinator's got to be fired.
He's out of here.
What they're waiting on.
Got to go.
I don't know what they're waiting on. I mean, you got to fire him tomorrow.
Tomorrow? All right.
Last week, 3 weeks ago.
All right, somebody just texted in, Bob. Trump still calls Herschel to wash his limos.
He's still on the payroll.
Is he still on Trump's payroll?
It's a lifetime contract.
It is a lifetime contract.
A lifetime contract.
Because Trump bought that team from the original owners, didn't he?
They tell the story all the time. Dooley, he walked in, he had regrets that he's, got with the agent, signed the contract. Dooley says, son, you made a terrible mistake, but the good news for you, it's a $50 million mistake.
$50 million mistake. So he still pays it. It was a lifetime contract.
That's what I heard from day one.
Wow.
He still gets paid every year.
All right. And he has to do no washing of limos, right?
He's not washing limos. I'm surprised he's not doing security, though, for the president. He'd be a good security guard.
He'd be a great security guard, yeah. But then you got a celebrity out there in front of the president.
He's got his own business, though.
Yeah, he's got his own stuff going on.
Well.
Yeah, he's doing
him
well.
and Bo Jackson teamed up. They got some kind of. I mean, they're making millions. Herschel's got a restaurant in Athens too.
He does?
Yeah.
All right. Somebody just texted in and says, Bob, Pittman was a big loss, but will give Kirby the opportunity to make some necessary changes. Did you see Pittman's press conference? Did you see Pittman's press conference? He won't be taking Coley with him.
No, he's not taking Coley with him.
Coley was his boss.
Coley needs to be. Coley's offensive coordinator needs to be
That's
fired.
what I mean. He was his boss. You had the offensive coordinator and you had the offensive line coach.
But I like Pittman's press conference. He said that he got a lot of texts from a lot of offensive line coaches want to know why offensive line coaches aren't given head coaching jobs. But 5 minutes after the interview, a talking head said that the reason you don't make offensive line coaches head coaches because it's a media world now.
Oh, yeah.
And his press conference was about as dull as a Excedrin headache. So the question is, can he handle that part of it? And that's a major part of it with TV, 24/7, all these talk shows, all these. I mean, you have to have somebody with a little bit of pizzazz.
Great PR. Right. You got to have great PR, public relations, if you're a head coach. Right. Somebody just takes not only for to get you got to communicate your message to the media there, and then also raise funds from the alumni.
Plus, you got to go in people's homes and sell parents whether or not that's where your kid's going to go play.
Right. All right. Somebody just texts in and says Georgia simply folded in a game. Their heads and hearts were not in the game. Still a great team. But why wouldn't their heads and hearts be in the game? You're for the SEC championship. You're playing in 70% of red and black in the stadium there,
They just got whipped, okay? We got whipped. We showed up and got whipped. I mean, we weren't competitive in the ball game at all. The first play of the game might have helped. I mean, he put it right in the guy's breadbasket. He dropped the ball. And he threw one down the sidelines. It could have been caught, but it was out of bounds. But it went downhill after that. But DeAndre Swift just wasn't ready to play in that game. He wasn't healthy, so that hurt. I mean, when you use your star running back, I mean, it hurts. I mean, he just wasn't ready. You could tell he wasn't healthy.
Yeah. All right, somebody just texted in, Bob. It says Pittman has an issue with Coley wanting to consistently hand the ball off.
Duh. The entire Georgia nation has a problem with Coley. I said yesterday, if they ran one more first down play up the middle for no yards, I would.
Why didn't just Kirby go down the sidelines and say, stop it?
Why didn't you do it all year?
I don't know.
I mean,
I have no idea.
I'd like to know what. I'm sure it's got to be at least 85% first down plays Georgia run up the gut. At least if you went back to the whole season. First down.
Well, Dooley's standing up there smiling ear to ear. That's what I've done.
My question is, when are they going to fire Coley? Please, Santa Claus. That's what I want for Christmas. I want the offense.
Are you firing off some letters, Bob? You always firing off letters.
I'll see Santa. That's my wish list.
Dear Kirby Smart, Coach Smart.
I don't know what's taking so long. I don't know. I don't know what Kirby's waiting on.
I always thought you had inside people up there, Bob. No? Well, you know people who have inside people up there.
I know people, but everybody's perplexed. Everybody's always waiting. I said, hey, Pittman was a good line coach, and no doubt about it.
Well, he must be. Somebody's taking him. Who's taking him for head coach?
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
He's a Razorback.
Okay. Wow. Arkansas's taking an offensive line coach.
Ole Miss got Lane Kiffin. Arkansas got Sam Pittman. So Clemson finally lost one of their offensive coordinators. Their offensive coordinator, Scott Frost, is going to USF or South Florida somewhere.
Somewhere down there? University of Central Florida or South Florida?
Yeah, you wonder why some of those assistant coaches at Clemson haven't been tabbed for head coaching jobs, but finally one gets a job. So.
All right, Bob, somebody wants your wisdom here and says, Bob, what do you think about Kirby bringing in Matt Luke?
For what?
I don't know, Bob. I'm just reading the question. I don't know. What does Matt coach? What does he do?
He was the former Ole Miss head coach.
Oh, okay.
Which seems like a good guy. I don't know what kind of coach he is, though. I mean, the sad thing is he lost his job because his player went stupid and made that, act like he was going to pee on the field, and they got the 15-yard penalty, missed the extra point, they lost the Egg Bowl. they made the point, in Mississippi, the game is the Egg Bowl.
Right.
And both coaches knew whoever lost that game was going. If the Mississippi State coach would have lost, he would have been fired. But unfortunately, the Ole Miss coach lost, so he got fired. But he got fired because they said he got fired because the coach tried to defend the kid's actions. And that's when the AD stepped in and says, no, we're not defending that. Sorry, you got to go. Yeah, Jeff Scott goes to South Florida. The co-offense coordinator, Jeff Scott's from Clemson. So all these teams filled up their coaching position. I said, I don't know what kind of coach Matt Luke is. I don't know much about it.
I'm fixing to say here.
Seems like a nice guy, but I don't know what kind of coach he is.
They want to bring him in for the offensive line coach.
Might be a good line coach.
I don't know.
The story was they were going to go get Bobo to come be the offense coordinator, but Bobo went to South Carolina. And I think the reason Bobo's going to South Carolina because he's still mad because Georgia fired him. So...
All right, somebody just texted in that they do not think, this person does not think that Georgia folded. He said they played the same as all year. So when you play LSU, you get whipped.
They got whipped, no doubt. I said they didn't really play that well all year. I mean, they beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, they beat Notre Dame. They beat Florida. They beat Auburn.
The best game they played was Florida. But since the Florida game, every game they barely survived. They barely beat Auburn. They barely beat Texas A&M. They had to hang on. They didn't go out and dominate anybody.
No.
But the problem is when you play in the SEC championship game and it's in Atlanta and 85% of the fans in the stands are wearing red and black, it's a home game. You got to show up and play. But they didn't show up. They got whipped.
Yeah, they did.
And the question is why? And Kirby hadn't had much answers. I said
he's looking at game film.
Chuck Oliver had a good show yesterday. He talked about when Kirby lost the championship game to Alabama.
Right.
He came with all that fire and, talked about, go talk to Nick Saban. One team he doesn't want to play, doesn't want to play us again.
Right.
Well, after the LSU game, he didn't have any fire in his belly. He just knew he got whipped.
He just got whipped. It's not close.
He didn't have any. He didn't have any.
In the last minute.
And they said if you would asked him point blank who the better team was, he would tell you LSU was a better team.
Well, they proved that on the field.
Yeah. So he's never said that before. Those times when he loses, he still thinks he's got the better team.
Right.
After Saturday, the people in the press room said he came in there looked like a whipped puppy. Knew he didn't have the better team.
Well, hopefully Kirby and his coaches will sit there and analyze that game film over and over again to find out how they got out-coached and how we got outplayed.
They got outplayed, like I said. And when you look at the recruiting class, take LSU's recruiting class against Georgia last 5 years, and Georgia's got the better recruiting class. So that means you got better athletes.
You should.
And like people say all the time, when you got 5-star athletes and you're playing 3-star athletes and 3-star athletes beat 5-star athletes, it goes to coaching. That's where you point. And it's what Kirby's facing. They're comparing him to, like I said, it's the Mark. Everybody says, what's he done? What's he done better than Mark Richt? Mark Richt got run out because he couldn't win the big game. Well, Kirby ain't won the big game.
Well, when you say can't win the big game, I mean, we've only been losing 1 or 2 games a season, and you still beat 3 top 10 teams. Kirby could. I mean, Mark Richt didn't do that. We beat Florida, Auburn, and Notre Dame in the same year.
Does he have a national championship?
But he doesn't have a national championship. But still, he's doing better than Rick did in the last few years Rick was there. Now, the first few years Rick was there, it was great. But the last few years, he's doing better than that.
Here, somebody says they got a friend who's a doctor in Athens who's close to the EJ orthopedic specialist, and he indicated that Fromm's been dealing with a nagging shoulder injury all season, but they just haven't reported it.
Oh.
Or that's true or not.
Nagging.
Makes sense.
Why didn't they develop? I mean, you got great quarterbacks up there. Start developing somebody that can step in sometime. I mean, when you're ahead of Georgia Tech that far, throw in the second quarterback.
Man, that would make sense. Like I said, he just doesn't look like the same player. And
sometimes those things happen.
Whether he's dealing with an injury or not, who knows? But, like I said, but you'd think the coaching staff would know that. So
they know it.
Maybe that's why they're running the ball. They got all the year because that might be why.
Well, you don't have a Superman Herschel back there where you can run it the middle, run it left, run it right, run it the middle, run it left, run it right, and sooner or later he's just going to take off. He's gone. Yeah.
It'll be interesting how it'll see what kind of coaching staff who does get to replace Sam Pittman, who's going to be the new offense coordinator if he does make a change. Hopefully he's not hard-headed and he's going to stick with.
I hope he does change, because I think that would take the heat off of him, take the heat off the program there, and you bring in somebody who's got a proven, open offensive mind, and be able to use these 4 and 5-star athletes that you got there at Georgia and put them to best use. And then be honest about Fromm. Of course, between now and August, you hope that his arm is all healed up, because you got the best orthopedic surgeons up there in the Athens, Atlanta area. The question is now, Alabama has 3 top 10 wide receivers, and Georgia has 0 deep receivers. Got to throw deep to loosen the defense. So we don't have any deep receivers, Bob?
Our receivers.
Even if you had the quarterback to get it to them?
They all went to the NFL.
They all went to the NFL.
Go look and see what Miko Hardman's doing in Kansas City. Okay, they all went to the NFL.
Yeah, so that hurt this year.
They're all freshman receivers.
So we had no deep threats. Everybody just played up, huh?
I think they had deep threats. They just, they didn't throw the ball deep very often. I still think those guys could go get it. Cager got hurt, though. That did hurt. I said Cager was injured. Pickens was suspended. They were limited going into the ball game, but, especially without DeAndre Swift, but going into the game, we were told DeAndre Swift was healthy, ready to go, but apparently he wasn't.
All right. We talked about how well Rick did the first few years he was there, but the last few years he was there, he didn't do that well. But let's talk about
recruiting, not wins and losses.
Okay. Let's talk about wins and losses here. The first few years that Rick was at Georgia and the first few years that Kirby's been at Georgia. Somebody just texted us in.
It's almost identical.
Okay, it says Rick posted a 42-10 record with 1 SEC championship after 4 years, while Smart is now 43-12. With 1 SEC championship.
Right, it's almost identical.
It's about identical.
And that's what the people are saying. What do we got different?
But we're talking about the first few years. Now, Kirby's a lot better than Rick was the last 5 or 6 years he was there.
How long's Kirby been head coach?
What, 5 years now? Isn't this 5th year?
He ain't been that long.
No. We're talking about the first 4 or 5 years of coaches there. Now, we're not talking about the last 4 or 5 years of coaches there. We're talking about the first of them, And we do have better recruiting classes now than we did then, according to what the national magazines and everything says. We got 5 and 4-star athletes, where back then it was basically 4 and 3-star. But we've got to be able to develop that talent. And let's start it with a new offensive coordinator.
And they say, better luck next year. I just hope they go and play a good bowl game. I said, I don't want them to lay an egg in the bowl game like they did
that would be terrible to lose
against Texas, where they just didn't show up.
We got to beat Baylor.
Baylor's going to be a tough opponent.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a tough game. You don't get in the top echelon of bowl games if you're not a good team. They were not that far away from winning the, whatever it was. Big 12, whatever it is.
If they'll ever come out and say anything's wrong with Jake Fromm, but they just let it go.
Well, I don't know. But it just seemed like you'd be playing a backup quarterback. Did they play a backup quarterback in these games where they were way ahead?
Yeah, Bennett's the backup quarterback from Pierce County.
Right.
He got in there one game, and Jake Fromm left, and he only got to throw 1 pass. So I said, but they brag about how well he does in practice every day. So
okay, somebody wanted to know, if Mark Rick didn't have as good as recruiting classes as Kirby, according to the national magazines, so is Mark Rick better at developing talent?
I said the reason they got rid of Rick is because they said the last couple of years he just
it wasn't
failed.
It was about the last 4 or 5, about 4 years, Bob. He was going downhill.
Last couple of years of the recruiting classes just weren't very good. So.
Yeah.
But like I said, we talked about that. He looked like he was disengaged. That's one thing. Mark Rick.
I agree.
He looked like he's standing down there.
I'd rather be doing something else.
Yeah, right. That's one thing. One thing I'll give Kirby credit for. I don't have to worry about him being engaged. He's engaged. He's in every play. He's running the show. There's no doubt about that. So I like that about him. But like I said, we talked about it. Mark Rick the last couple of years just looked like he was standing around just in a fog. Didn't really seem to be into the ball game. Didn't do a very good job at Miami.
I talked about a lot back then. Was he more interested in his mission work than he was in coaching? And we talked about that for 2 or 3 years there.
I said, hey, one good year at Miami, and that fell apart. So he's not coaching anymore. So I know what he's doing. He did have a heart attack, but it was a mild heart attack. Hopefully his health's good. So.
All right, somebody just texted in and says, Kirby needs to do something fast so we don't lose the offensive line recruits and so we don't lose the linemen to the draft because of Pittman's departure. I agree.
I mean, it's all about recruiting. I'm sure Pittman's been out there recruiting.
Yeah.
The thing that is interesting to see what kind of coaching staff, because in his press conference he said that he has a lot of well-known coaches that are wanting to come coach with him. So the question is, who's all going to Arkansas, and is anybody from Georgia staff going with him?
Don't know. We'll find out.
Just like Lane Kiffin's supposedly taking some people from Saban's coaching staff. They haven't made that announcement, but they said there's a big-time coach on Alabama staff that is going to bail and go to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. So that's what you worry about, who has the connections, who's friends with who's going where. So
a lot of wheeling and dealing going on right now, Bob.
Behind the scenes.
A lot of wheeling and dealing.
And like I said, the recruiting is the big thing, because Sam Pittman is one of your top recruiters.
Right.
So when your top recruiter who's been talking to all these kids takes a head job somewhere, the odds are he's probably taking some of those kids he's recruiting to Arkansas.
Well, we'll find out.
So we'll find out. Time will tell. But I'd like to know when they're going to fire the offense coordinator. That's on my Christmas list, Santa. So please tell Kirby to get rid of Coley tomorrow.
Okay, well, we're going to end the show with
or
that,
last
Bob,
week.
with your
or
Santa
3
list.
weeks ago.
Okay, Bob. We'll continue this conversation.
He's got
later.
to go.
All right, he's out of here, Bob. All right, world famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you by Nips Car Wash, located on Highway 301 South, just past McDonald's, there on the left-hand side, and by Murphy Butter Supply on Northeast Broad Street in downtown Jesup.
The world famous Butch and Bob Show.